is our DNA. Resistance is our DNA, right? Don't ever forget that. For us Kenyans, only two countries resisted the British or the French violently before 1970. Later we had the Portuguese resisting. But before 1970, there were only two countries. And one was Kenya, and the other one is which one? You know, I'm a teacher. Yes. Algeria. Yes. The liberation front in Nigeria. In Africa is only those two countries. So, and it's because of the Mau Mau, and you know the guerrilla warfare that they fought. So resistance is our DNA. And with that, of course, even post-independence, people resisted the fascist state that Kenyatta, because many times we are just looking at this Ruto. We are forgetting the mistake started from Jomo Kenyatta, because he instituted a fascist state. You know the many deaths that are still unresolved. And this politics of let's forget and move on is what got us where we are. A country where impunity is our DNA now. Right? And so we need to look at that past from Kenyatta, the mistakes he made, and especially in setting up the structures of Kenya. Look at Tanzania with all its problems. Tanzania is doing much, much better in terms of politics. Kenya, we keep bragging about our economy. So what? The economy, if you don't have your rights, those chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, not just the what do you call it, social and political rights, but also the economic rights. But the social and political rights are the foundation that offer you the space to demand for the others. And the social and political rights, which are enshrined in chapter 4, they should be protected. We already have them. And that's why we are saying, for me, I'm saying, let's not get excited with his changing ministers, because they'll still come back. We should be looking at chapter 4 and chapter 6. Chapter 4, our rights. Our people have been killed. Young people have been killed. These universities where I also teach, they are quiet. You know, so till we have justice, till we have the killer cops arrested, till Koome is gone, you know, and those are some of the things we are saying must change. Then we can deal with, as we deal with the rest of everything. But having said that, it's a good moment. I think Gen Z is probably now what we can call the third liberation. This is I think we've now entered the third liberation. And the second liberation, and I'm glad we are here in this hall. Those of us who don't know, this hall is a very important hall, Ufungamano. And Cyprian is here. I've seen many other comrades who are there those days during the IPPG reforms and NCC especially, and the National Convention on
National Convention Assembly Executive
Exactly.
Council.
That's where the Constitution of Kenya was changed, and Section 2A was repealed, and that's where we can tell off Zakayo and anybody else about why, because we fought for that constitution. And it's really sad that we have to keep fighting. That's why we need to have the right people in power, so that we are not fighting, so that it's people who also think like us, people who know human rights is part of state making. And I'm very glad, because that second liberation, first liberation was the Mau Mau and what they did, and the people who liberated Kenya. Remember, you need to also know who liberated Kenya, because the challenge is opportunists took over the real liberators like Dedan Kimathi. Second liberation, it is those people who fought for the second liberation of this country and the return of and who helped us get the constitution. And some of them are here. Please wave, because we need to acknowledge you. Please wave. I've seen some people, second liberation, Kigoro there, unanyamaza tu. You know, thank you, comrade. Because we have to, many of us, especially the new Gen Z activists, we are forgetting the journey. When you get that pace, remember this is a marathon. People have died, people have been there. What do we call them?
Social justice.
The social justice centers have been killed on the streets, have been walking in these streets. Kina Mama Rahma, please, let's wave also. Let's acknowledge these people. You know, and all the social justice activists, Olal, Viva, comrades. These are the people who have brought us to this moment. So let's not look at it as it's 3 weeks. Oh, now we must always carry that journey. And when you're given to that opportunity, remember those people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's tweak the conversation a little bit, and let's talk about the journey when we look at police accountability and brutality. Of course, police have been there throughout the journey in terms of the first liberation, as Daktari talked about. But with the new Constitution 2010, there was different expectation in terms of how they would engage the protesters. So Otsiero, take us through how the journey has been and how do we make police accountable?
Thank you. My name, I'm called Otsieno Namwaya. I work with the Human Rights Watch, but I will also speak more broadly because I've been an activist since the 90s. First of all, I think last week or early this week, I had somebody say in Parliament, I think it was Danson Mugatana, that this is the third liberation. The second liberation there was in the 90s, and then there was the independence struggle. And I think it is broadly true, but I have a different thinking because the second liberation in reality aborted. Picking up from what Daktari has said here, it aborted because if you look at some of the discussions we're having here, they were the same discussions, partly the same discussions we were having in the 90s. The issue of the portrait of William Ruto. I remember sometime, I think 1997, we were the Gen Zs then, we were called Generation X. We had in this same spot, Cyprian, correct me, but we were wondering why do we have Moi's portrait everywhere? And that we need to stop that. That's part of imperialism. So having said that, that struggle, second liberation struggle picked up from independence struggle, which a lot of people believe that the independence struggle aborted and died with the death of Dedan Kimathi in 1957. If you look at movements such as FERA, which is February 18th Revolutionary Army, or Stock Movement, which was with people like Akina, Brigadier Odongo, Raphael Wangondo, and the rest, the reasoning even for naming it FERA was that we aborted the struggle in 1957. We need to pick it from where we aborted it. That was 1957. That's why it's called February 18th Revolutionary Army. Dedan Kimathi was killed on February 18th, 1957. So it is part of the long struggle. So picking it up from there, I was supposed to talk about police accountability.